Hello and welcome to another tutorial from MoveICT. In this tutorial we are going to be making a very simple Pong game using Windows Forms and C# in Visual Studio. This game is entirely made on the components that we can find on Windows Forms, such as we're just using picture boxes to create this game, and the score is being displayed on the title text here. Alright, so this is going to be a very simple tutorial. Let's go ahead and create a new project in Visual Studio. First, click on Create a New Project. I'm going to choose my Windows Form app template, that's the .NET one. And then let's name this one Pong Game MoveICT. Click Next. We can choose the .NET 6 as default and click Create. Okay, so this is our empty form at the moment. I'm just going to make some changes to the form itself. So on the text here, we can just say layer 0, layer :0 -- computer :0. Right, so that way we just keep the title bar text to keep score for the player and for the computer. We can leave the height and width the same. Let's go check the back color, and we want to set the back color to black. So click on the drop down, go to custom, use black here, and then we can drop down a little bit and then find double buffered, set that option from false to true. So this way it gives us a few more frames per second when the game is running, so it's a little bit more smoother. Okay, let's go to the toolbox and let's find the picture box. So for the picture box here, I'm going to resize this one to the width is going to be 30 and the height is going to be 120. Okay, so that's the size of the paddle. Okay, and I'm also going to name this one to player. Okay, now I can right click on this one, go to choose image. Now under your project resource files, I'm going to click on import. Navigate to the folder where you have saved the images that you downloaded for this tutorial. Once you've extracted the images, you should be able to see all of them here. So we have our ball, computer and the player image. Select all of them, click open. I'm going to select the player and click OK. As you can see right now, the player image isn't fitted inside of the picture box. So you can click on the little triangle there and then change the size mode to stretch image. Now if your triangle doesn't show up there for any reason, you can also change the size mode inside of the properties here. Okay, I want to move the player to the left here, copy, paste, right click, choose image, project resource file. This I'm going to pick the computer, move the computer to the right, paste it in the picture box, copy, paste it in the picture box here. So right click again, go to choose image, and this time I'm going to choose the ball. Okay, and I'm going to resize the ball picture box to 30 by 30. Okay, now we should name these two as well. This one is called picture box 2 at the moment. I'm going to call this one ball, and this one here is going to be called computer. Okay, lastly we need a timer. I'm going to go to the toolbox, drag and drop a timer here, call this one game timer, set enable to true, and then set the interval to 20. So the timer will basically tick. The timer tick event will run every 20 milliseconds. Okay, now we're going to get started on adding our events right after this message. If you want to learn more about C# programming, check out the MoveICT courses available on Udemy. These projects are designed so you can learn programming easily by following the step-by-step process. All of the source code and the assets are available to download. You can find the links in the description. Now back to the video. While the timer is selected, Right next to the properties button here, you'll see that the lightning bolt icon. That one will take you to the events window. So click on that. Click, there's only one event that can be linked to the timer. That's a tick event. I'm going to call this one game timer event and press enter. This will add our event to the C# script. Let's go back to the designer. Click on the form, so just a black area on the form. Let's find the keys down, so key down and key up. So these are the two events that we need for the form. Type in key is down. That's the key down. And then type in key is up. That's the key up. Okay, so these are the three events that we need. We also need a couple of two custom functions as well to make these projects work. I'm going to make some space at the bottom here to write those functions down. So this is the check collision event. This event will basically check if this picture box and this picture box will collide with each other, and then we can move the object to a offset and then continue on with the game. Most likely this will be the ball, and this could be either the computer or the player. Okay, let's do the second function. This is the game over event. So we're just basically just going to display the string at the end of the game. So this would be when the player wins or when the computer wins the game. Now let's do the variables. I'm going to make some space on the top here first, and then we can start on our variables. So first we're setting up with the ball X and ball Y speed, and then we have the speed for the computer. We're going to be using the rand to basically select a random speed for the ball and the computer as well. These two booleans will control when the player moves up or down. We'll have an interval for how often the computer speed will change. Player score, computer score, and the player speed integer. Now we need two arrays. This array here will be the computer speed, so we'll be using the rand to randomly select a value and assign that to the speed variable, and the j array here will be used to assign a different speed to the ball X or to the ball Y. Okay, so now let's do the key is down event. Here we have two if statements, one for if the key pressed is key down, and if the key pressed is key up. If the key down is pressed, go down will be true. Key up is pressed, go up boolean will be true. Let's do the key is up event. So this one is key is down in reverse. So if the key up key is released, then go, so if the down key is released, go down boolean will be false. If the up key is released, then go up boolean will be false. Okay, let's do the check collision function. So all of the instructions inside of this function will be controlled through this if statement here. So we're going to first check if pick 1 is colliding with pick 2 here. So if the ball is colliding with either the computer or the player, then we can run a set of instructions. First set of instructions that we can run is going to be the pick1.left is going to be equals to offset. So offset value is going to be provided from the function, so we know exactly where we want the ball to move to if it hits the player or the computer. So we're going to provide that, and then the int x and y is basically going to select one of the random values from the j array. This if statement here is checking if the ball speed was currently less than 0. So if the ball was moving towards the left, then it will be less than 0. If it was moving toward the right, then it will be greater than 0. So we need to assign the ball value accordingly. So this is why we're checking if the ball speed is less than 0. If it is, then we're going to set the number from a negative to a positive. But if it was a positive number, then we're going to set it to a negative. So it's going to move the opposite direction. So if the player hits the ball, we want the ball to move to the right. And if the computer hits the ball, we want the ball to move to the left. Now let's do the Y direction. So in the Y values case, if the Y value was already negative, so if the ball was moving up, then what we want to do is the new value should also be negative. Although the value will change, we want to make sure the trajectory of the ball stays exactly the same. So if it's moving up, then it's just going to move up faster or slower, depending on the random number that gets chosen from the list. The same will happen when the ball is moving down, which is the number positive. So we want it to remain positive when it's moving down. Let's do the game over function now. Okay, so in the game over function, we're basically just resetting everything. We're stopping the timer, showing a message box with the message to display on the screen, resetting the computer score, the player score, and resetting the ball X and Y to 4. And then resetting the computer speed change to 50. And then lastly, we're starting the game timer again, so you can play the game. Okay, now to the big event, which is the game timer event. Let's start on this one. Okay, so in the beginning here, we are setting the ball top and ball left to the ball Y and ball X speed. Right, we're doing it minus equals to, so which each interval it will be either moving up or down depending whether these numbers are positive or negative. Then this line here is basically updating the text on the form to show us the player score and the computer score. This line here is this if statement here is basically checking if the ball top is less than 0 or ball bottom is greater than this client size height. So it's the form of the height. So if the ball has reached the bottom of the screen and this says the ball has reached top of the screen. If it has, then we want the ball Y speed to reverse so that then ball bounces off the borders and onto the opposite direction. In this case, the ball has reached the left border, so the player has missed the ball. So if the ball left is less than -2, then we're going to reset the ball back to 300, so it's going to be in the middle of the screen, and then the ball will be moving on the opposite direction. And we also want to add one to the computer score because the computer has scored at this point. Let's do one for the player score. Okay. So if ball.right is greater than the width plus 2, so we just give it a little bit of buffer to make sure that it has reached the edge. If it is, we're resetting the ball again, we're reversing the ball speed, and then we're incrementing the player score. Now let's do the computer movement. So here we're going to check if the computer top is less than or equals to 1. Then we're just going to reset the computer top to 0. So we don't want the computer picture box to leave the screen. We're going to do the same when the computer reaches the bottom of the screen. So if the computer bottom has is equals to or greater than the client size height, so height of the form, then the computer top is going to be equals to the height and minus the height of the form. So basically the picture box still remains inside of the form. Okay, so in this case, the computer is going to be following the ball, but if the ball is less than the top, so basically the computer is lower than where the ball is, right, and the ball left is greater than 300, so the ball has to come to the middle in order for the computer to be able to move up to the ball or down from the ball. So if that's the case, then the computer is basically going to be moving up. In this case, if the ball is moving down and it's below where the computer picture box is, and the ball dot left is greater than 300, so he has reached to the bottom of the middle of the screen, and then it's moving downwards, the computer will then move down to where the ball is. In this line, we're basically reducing 1 from the computer speed change integer with each tick. So it's basically going to keep going down until it reaches 0. Once it reaches 0, the speed is going to pick one of the random numbers from the I array and assign it to the speed integer. Then we're going to reset the speed change integer back to 50, so then it can go back and reduce it again. So this way, the computer will have different speeds at different times when it hits the ball. In this if statement, we're checking if the go down boolean is true and the player is still within the height of the form. If it is, then we can get the player to continue to move down. If it's reached the height of the form on the bottom, then we're basically going to stop the player right there. In this if statement, we're basically going to check if the go up boolean is true and the player top is greater than 0. If that's the case, then we can move the player towards the top of the form by reducing the player speed from the player top location. Okay, so here we're actually running the check collision function. We're passing the ball in as pick 1, passing the player as pick 2, and the offset value that we've given is the player right plus 5. So whatever the player is, so the offset value is going to be here somewhere. So the reason we're giving the offset is so it doesn't clip onto the picture box, because sometimes when he hits right above here on the player picture box or on the computer picture box, it would immediately clip into the picture box and it will start glitching inside. So this is why we're giving the offset, so that way as soon as it hits it, it will move away from the picture box. It will start moving in the other direction. We're doing the same for the computer, so we're giving the ball as pick 1, computer as pick 2, and the computer.left minus 35. We have to use a minus is because the computer is on the right, so we have to reduce the number to make sure that the ball is moved away from the picture box. In this two if statements here, we're just checking if the computer scores more than 5. We run the game over function and we show the message, say sorry you lost the game. If the player scores more than 5, then we run the game over function and show the message that you won the game. Okay, so that's all the code that we need for this simple Pong game. I can run this project now and see how it works. See, the ball is moving towards the player. So now as soon as it hits the player, it randomly chooses a speed. Okay, see, the computer doesn't move until the ball has gone past 300 pixels. Okay, so I scored 1. It's been updated on the text. Now the computer has scored 1. Okay, so now the game has ended. It says you won this game and then I can click on the OK message now, and it restarts again with the new values. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, please leave a like and a subscribe to the channel, and check out our new courses on Udemy. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.